Hey, good afternoon, guys. Welcome to lesson 2 of self-awareness. Today I'm going into knowing thyself, knowing who you are, your mind, your body, your spirit, your well-being. Why is this important? It's important because if you don't know yourself, somebody will tell you who you are. Somebody will determine your value. One of the things I learned when I was doing door-to-door sales was if I didn't establish my worth would have been determined by others. The first thing I learned when I was out there at 19 years old, living down in Maryland, little studio apartment, working for a door-to-door sales company, was that I had to negotiate my worth. And guess what? I didn't do it well. I was making $250 less than every single person I worked with because I didn't negotiate my value, because I didn't know myself, nor did I know my worth. So I was always catching myself in situations where people were taking advantage of me, making more money off of me, doing things manipulative because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know me. And a lot of these people who did it were people you wouldn't expect. A lot of the time you think the nice guy with a smile on his face would never take advantage of you. But normally it is. Normally it is the nice guy with the smile on his face that's stealing behind your back. Surprising. But one thing I've learned in the Bible is that Satan doesn't come as a scary monster. He comes smiling. He comes as a friend. He comes as somebody that you trust. And then in giving you the trust, that's when he deceives. But if you know who you are, you know your value, what you're doing, your mission, your field of study and progression, you will not be deceived so easily. That's why I need to talk to you. It's very important knowing who you are. One of the strategies in war is to know yourself, know your environment, and know your enemy. But you can't know your enemy, your environment, if you don't know who you are. This is one of the most important principles that I've had the privilege of learning the hard way. I've learned this by not knowing who I was, by dealing with the pornography addiction when I was 18, 17, 16, 15, all the way to 21, and not doing anything with my life. Until one day I said, what am I going to do? Who am I going to be? What am I going to achieve? What am I going to go after? What dreams do I even have? Or do I even have dreams? And the first thing I realized was that I never took the time to figure my goals out. I didn't take the time to understand who I was, what I could bring, until I snapped out of it and I started studying. I started listening to motivation. I started reading books on inspiration, on goal setting, on doing what you can, finding out your potential. Tony Robbins, Tracy, I forgot his last name, but Tracy, he's a motivational speaker. You guys want to get your mind around people that are doing what you want to do. I listened to Eric Thomas. The first thing I did when I was younger, I got a poster in my room. Big Eric Thomas poster says, if you don't want success as badly as you want to breathe, you won't succeed. I had to get to a state where I was so hungry for the next level, I was willing to do whatever it would take. So the first thing I did was I took my bed out of my room and I turned my room into a studio. In the studio, I turned it into production. I started making YouTube videos. Didn't get a lot of followers, didn't get a lot of views, but I had to start. And in starting, it allowed me to open up more doors. Fast forward, I worked at a radio show down in Maryland, Lanham, Maryland, called WBGR, We Believe in God Radio. I had my own radio show for about 8 months called Breaking Boundaries, where I would talk about overcoming obstacles, being all you can be, and discovering the value that God sees within you, and you understanding that value. And this was an awesome opportunity. I got to meet great people. Awesome people came on the show, and I gained some perspective. But this only happened through the persistence and the grind and the effort. See, the guy that invited me knew that I did YouTube. He saw one of my videos and he liked it. He wanted to get me on the shows immediately. But it was out of that effort and out of that work that doors opened. And I want you guys to do the same thing. I want you guys to open up doors by knowing the doors that you can open. You see, sometimes we don't know where we're going unless we know who we are. We'll try to fit a script. Our goals are the goals of our parents. Our goals are the goals of our friends. And we'll establish goals that they want for us, but we'll forget the goals that are best for us. We're all different. Not everyone's going to fit the 9 to 5 script. There's 7 billion people in this world. I'm going to tell you right now, there's 7 billion people with 7 billion different meanings, 7 billion different purposes, 7 billion different missions. Everyone's got a purpose. Everyone's got a mission. You see, the thing we get caught up in is doing things because we want the approval of others. For instance, I would go to school because I wanted to be approved by my parents. I wanted the approval of my grandparents. I wanted my family to congratulate me. And some of us are going to schools, getting jobs, just because it looks good on paper. Just because it looks good when we go to the family reunion and everyone can say, wow, you're doing amazing work. But for me, I realized that that's what I was doing. I wanted to fit a script that wasn't made for me. And so I got out of it as quickly as I could, and I took the chance to leap on faith. Didn't think I was going to get help, didn't think I was going to get support, and I didn't plan on it. But I knew what I wanted to do. And ever since that waking moment, I've been pursuing, growing, and gaining more experience in my field of study. You understand, it takes about 10,000 hours to master a craft. 10,000. This does not come overnight, doesn't come in a minute, doesn't come like that. It comes from persistence, growing, day in, day out, every opportunity you can. That's why I say do what you love and love what you do. Because at the end of the day, if you're not loving what you're doing, I'm going to ask you, why are you doing it? Life isn't guaranteed. Tomorrow's not promised. But I'm going to tell you what is this moment. And if you're not pushing and providing into the moment that you're in 150, then what are you doing? You always want to contribute, give, produce, add to the situation, the moments, wherever you are, in whichever way you can. That's your value. And I'm going to get into discovering value as well as understanding your principles. Every man needs to live by a set of values and principles. If you don't have those things, you can be taken advantage of and you can be easily swayed. I have a lot of values and morals that I stand by, and it's hard for me to compromise those things. And in knowing that, I don't compromise them. A lot of people ask me, Mac, why don't you just go get a job? Why don't you just go work for somebody? The way I see it is just so different. I'm past the point of working for, I'm at the point of working because. I have a mission, I have a meaning. I do this because I know it has value. I know that there's someone, some soul, some child, some person that will one day need this. Presently, while I'm making these videos, I don't have any followers, I don't have any viewers, I don't have what you may think. But I'm doing this in advance for the day that will eventually subside in reward. You have to understand, you will not see what you're looking for immediately, but what you have within you will make room for you. It says in the Bible, God will make room for your gift, and I believe it if you can at least make a little space for it. God will make room for it. The creator of the heaven and the earth will make room for your gift. But my question to you is, are you making space for it? Are you putting time into it? Are you putting effort into it? Are you staying up sleepless nights, crafting it, building it, growing it? Or are you pushing it aside? You see, your creator wouldn't do that to you. But my question is, why would you do it to yourself? You have to make space for what God has given you. Because if you don't hone in on it, if you don't master it, if you don't progress it, then it means nothing. And I want to tell you today, that's your purpose. That's your meaning. When you figure it out, you have to give it everything. I know some may look at me crazy and say, but what about that? What about this? And, I always get these conversations about the bills and the money and that, and I get it, and I hear it. But it's all going to come through faith. and honing in on that gift. God has given me opportunities to bring residual wealth. And that comes from the services I offer, the books that I've created, the products that I sell, the brand that I am. All a blessing. Right now I want to talk about the mind, the body, and the spirit. The mind, the body, and the spirit. The three things you need to understand. The three things you want to fully evolve within. You want to grow within your mental state, your physical state, and your spiritual state. One thing that I've learned is that faith is a muscle that you need to work out. Come on, man. Faith isn't just built overnight. It requires work. You have to work on your faith daily. Just like I work out and run up the hills and go to the gym, I'm strengthening my body. But when I trust God, when I take a leap on faith, when I do something that seems out of the norm, and I trust in myself as well as my Creator, I'm strengthening the muscles of faith. Some of the hardest things to do is to believe. To believe in what you cannot see. To believe in what's not in front of your eyes, what's not in front of your face. But one of the only things I have of true immense wealth and value is my faith. Is my ability to trust and see the unknown. To believe entirely in what can be done instead of what can't be done. My faith is the root of my values. My faith is the root of all my principles. It's what I stand upon. It's who I am and it's what I believe. So when somebody says, Mac, why don't you do the logical thing? I say, look, are you doubting the logic of the Creator? Because His logic is self-sufficient. His grace is self-sufficient. And through His grace and through the faith that I have in His grace, I'm able to do all things. Because I know who I walk with. I don't walk with a coward. I don't walk with a punk. I walk with the Creator of the world. And He reminds me, He shows me, He gives me vision that man, very few can see. And because of that, I use it. I move toward it. And I do everything I can in my own strength. But trusting deep down in His strength beyond mine. I need you guys to work in the spirit. In the spirit, your soul development. Are you working on the faith? Are you strengthening these muscles? Spiritual muscles. Are you working on the physical? Are you building that muscular body? Are you taking jogs? Are you eating right? Are you drinking water? What are you doing? This represents who you are. Your principles, your values. Working out becomes a habit of nature. That's why people get to a point where they don't even say I run. They say I'm a runner. They say I'm a bodybuilder. They say I'm a gym rat. They claim it because they do it so often. I don't want you to just start working out just because you want to lose weight. I want you to work out because you want to grow. You want to build the habits of being a gym goer, a fit goer. Become it. Live it. Breathe it. I seen this woman, she posts a video every single day of her going to gym. 99 days in a row. She did 100 days in a row posting videos of her working out. I'm looking at it like, wow, this woman's older than me, probably 50s, working out every single day, going to the gym, muscular, built. I'm like, I can't even get up and do this one little run. That's motivation. That's somebody that has made the determination that I am going to be a gym goer. That's going to be a part of my value of who I am and what I stand upon. What is it that you stand? What is it that you believe to the point where you're willing to do whatever it takes to maintain it? Principles and values, these are things that will always maintain in your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit. This is who you are. This is what you become. This is what you stand upon. And that's why this lesson is kingdom. It's so important, knowing who you are, knowing yourself. And I want you guys to hear this one out because I got a lot of gems to bless you with. All right, guys, so right now I want to talk about finding yourself. Knowing thyself is the whole entire subject. So in order to know yourself, you're going to have to take time to yourself. Now, this isn't always an easy thing to do, but when I was younger, I learned very young that that was important. I used to read this book, and one of these books was, it was like a spiritual book or something like that. This was before I was practicing Christianity. I was actually Muslim at the time. I was reading this book, and it was talking about how a man, to discover his purpose, he should take time to himself. Sometimes we get into a busy world, and we're living day to day. We're doing the work, we're doing the job. We get so caught up in our immediate environment. We're doing so much every day. We got to go to the work, we got to go home, we got to take care of the kids, we got to clean the house, we got to clean the car, we got to pay the bill. It's a lot. One day you're going to have to find a moment, or maybe a couple days, or maybe a week, but that interpersonal time by yourself is so necessary for your growth. See, I personally believe that God does a lot of work in people's life in the darkness. Like, it's very interesting, but a seed can only grow when the dirt has been put on top of it. Seeds don't grow by itself. It needs dirt around it to fertilize it. I'm not saying you have to be in dirt, but you need to be around the fertilizer. The fertilizer that will grow your mission, that will grow your vision, that will grow you into finding out who you really are. I need this time. I value that time. It's lonely at times, but it's necessary all the time. Sometimes we don't want to take time by ourselves because we're afraid that I'm going to miss out on my friends, or my friends are going to miss out on me, and I'm going to miss out on situations, and I'm not going to be able to be there for certain people. I want to tell you one thing, man. If there's really truly people that are supposed to be around you, they'll understand you. And at the end of the day, they'll never leave you regardless of what you have to do. But if they do, then you'll know in advance that maybe they weren't the best for you. Maybe they weren't supposed to be there with you. But you'll learn this as time goes on. I've had a lot of friends that have gone and came and gone and came, but there's only very few that stay around the long term. I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't want to be around those who will leave when I'm not doing good. I don't want to be around those that come when I'm doing great. I want to be around the ones that are there when I'm insecure. I want to be around the ones that are there when I'm not self-reliant. I want to be around the ones that are there when I don't know who I am. Because those are the ones that will be there always. When you're at your worst, when you're at your ugliest, when you're at your despicableness, they're not going to leave you because of where you're at now. They're going to stay there, help you grow to where you can be later. Matter of fact, where they see you being later. You have to understand a vision is very important when it comes to a relationship with a friend or a spouse or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, because that vision is what will give your relationship light. When I go outside and I'm right in front of the sun, I need to put sunglasses on because the sunlight is so bright. It shines vision for everyone on earth. When you have a goal, a mission, a priority, it will shine a vision in your relationship, in your encounters, in your doings. That vision will shine so brightly that everyone will see it, and it will give life not just to you, but to those around you, because you have it. And not to mention, the relationship will only grow it. You need to be around people that see vision not only for them, but for you. Because if they can't see it in you, then why would you be there to see it in them? This is a mutual thing. This isn't one-sided. It's reciprocal. My vision gives you vision. Your vision gives me vision. We build upon our vision to become one in the grand scheme of all life. This is why you got to understand you. If you don't know thyself, you will not be able to give to others or project something greater than your current situation. One thing I read in a quote by Goethe, probably heard of him, maybe not, seems like an ancient writer. He said, the downfall of man is that he should come to think ill of himself. Now I want to get into self-confidence and self-esteem. Self-confidence and self-esteem, because these two things are the determining factors to how far you will go in thyself. It's easy to know yourself, but do you think well of yourself? Do you think well of the gift that God has given you? Do you think well of the potential that you have? Are you aware? Do you think well of it, or do you think mediocre of it? Is it because other people around you don't see your greatness, or is it because the people that you love told you that you don't have a chance? Whatever they may have said, whatever the situation might have been, do you still hold deep and firm in your spirit potential, vision, hope, excitement for that goal? If the answer is no, you're watching the right podcast. I mean, you're watching the right lesson. I do a podcast, by the way, The Advocate. And then even in my podcast, I talk a lot about understanding who you are. See, the basis of all nations and society is the man. The man is the basis of society. The man is the basis of humanity. Now, man or woman, but I'm saying man as man. Humanity is the basis of the foundation of society. Society is not built upon brick, block, or stone, but it's built upon the flesh and the idea that comes from the mind of a man. See, all great men have had the ability to create nations, build armies, create civilizations. They had this ability within them. And the only way it was prospered and taken out of them was because of the gift that God has given them, the ability to hone into what's inside and magnify it. See, your gift and values, principles, can only be magnified if you know what they are. Because over time, you'll give it the attention that it's deserved. The attention to feed it, to grow it. You'll fertilize it. You'll be around the right minds. You'll be around the right people. You won't spend time with people that aren't bettering you. You won't spend time with those that aren't giving you suggestions to grow. You won't spend time with those who are doubting or concerning your abilities, because you'll know deep down they're not worth it. What you want to understand is that one day when you have greatness within, that the only way it can grow is through understanding the greatness of Him. God, in my opinion, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the one that was able to form intricately my face, my mind, my body, my soul, my spirit, my hands, everything formed and fashioned in the womb of my mother, is a gift itself, a miracle in itself. The miracle of life was formed in the womb of my mother, given to me to be life, to live life, to express life. The miracle of life itself. You have this miracle, this blessing. It's in your body, it's in your mind, it's in your spirit. But sometimes you doubt the abilities you have within. You say, I can't start that company. See, Mac, I can't start that business. I can't go after that goal. I can't do those things. And you say you can't because you've never seen it before. Sometimes we need to see it to believe it. And I need to tell you right now, there is nothing you can see that God's going to. There's nothing you can see of this out there without faith. You need faith to see it. You need faith to believe it. Come on. I've seen more things in my faith and in my belief in God than I've seen without it. Somebody could walk up to me and say, man, here's a $50,000 check. All you got to do is tell me this and tell me that. And I might look at that man and I might see right through his eyes and see the fraud that he's playing with me. And God put something on my heart to say, look, man, why don't you go ahead and work? Why don't you go ahead and produce? Why don't you go ahead and do what you know you're able to do, even though nobody's watching? Why don't you go ahead and do what you know you're able to do, even though you don't have the support? Why don't you go ahead and do what you know you're able to do, even though you don't have the resources, you don't have the tools, you don't have the connections, you don't have the, the media, you don't have the money, you don't have it. But why don't you go ahead and do it anyways and see what happens? That's what I do. And I listen. I did that when I was about 19, 20 years old. I didn't have any of those things. All I had was a camera and my voice. And I spoke. And guess what? Got followers, got views, enlightened people, changed lives, opened doorways for myself and others. And so when people ask me, they say, Mac, why are you still doing it? You should probably just do it on the side or something, or get a job. It's funny to me when people say this. This isn't a side thing for me. This is a full thing. This is my life. This is my goals. This is my vision. This is everything. So for somebody to tell me, why don't you do something and turn it to a side thing, is like, why don't you just kind of push away God for a little bit? Why don't you just kind of like put him down on the side? I can't do that. I mean, it'll be easy for you maybe if you don't know what it really is you're here to do. But for me, I already know what it is, and I'm just doing it. I've been doing it. It's time to keep doing it and see results. For you, you're still trying to figure it out, and that's okay. That's why I'm here. Like I said, it takes time. You got to go ahead and seclude yourself. Figure things out. Interpersonal connection. Breathe. Think. What is innate to you? Innate to your nature, innate to your being. This will give you self-confidence. Because a lot of the time we don't have the confidence because we don't know what's in us. But if I know I carry gold, or I carry wealth, or I carry vision, I carry value, I'll be confident knowing that I can always add to a situation. I can always add to a room. I can always add to an encounter. I can always bring something to that table because I already know what's within. A lot of the time we don't know it, so we're waiting for somebody to give it to us. A lot of us run around the world looking for validation from men, women, people, jobs, so many different things. Just looking for this approval that might never ever come. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But we're seeking it with everything in us. And we left empty. We're left more empty than before because we'll never get it to the extent that we want it. This is so common among even women these days. Models. Am I pretty here? Am I pretty enough? Asking another company, am I pretty enough? No, you're not. Am I pretty enough? They ask, no, you're not pretty enough. They're always trying to seek. And some people will be the opposite. They'll say, yes, you're beautiful. And then you'll be like, no, I'm not. I'm ugly. And then they go somewhere else. And the guy, no, you're beautiful. They're like, no, I'm not. They go somewhere else. You see, it's funny to me because you'll see the most successful, so-called beautiful people, whatever you want to say it, models, got all this fame, this fortune, people loving them, taking pictures, but still void, missing something. It does not matter how much attention, gifting, and reward of men that you get. If you don't know what's within, it means nothing. See, I could get the exact opposite, and usually I do. Doubts, insecurities, concerns from others. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you able to do that? But sometimes doubts, not from everyone, but some people who may doubt me. Sometimes I see others more concerned for my well-being than myself. Because I have a lot of faith in my abilities. But others may not have that faith in that ability, and so they might trickle that fear elsewhere. Their fears could become your fears. Their concerns could become your concerns. And over time, what wasn't yours will now become yours. So those who are confident, you need to stay confident in what you have. You need to stay bold in what you're able to give. You need to stay firm in the blessings within. Now some of these women, like I said, will go out of the way to seek this approval, this validation, all the way to getting plastic surgery. Change the face. Look in the mirror and say, I'm still ugly. And go back to get more surgery. Change the face. Look in the mirror, I'm still ugly. Go back to the place, next thing you know, everything's rearranged, the ears poking out, the nose is here, they look like a mask, and they lost, confused, don't know who they are. Got so caught up in their value being their physical features, instead of remembering that their value is really within, and it can't be approved of because it's already approved of by the one that created you. And when you have this approval, you will never seek approval. Because as long as I have the Creator's approval, I'm good. But are you? These are my questions for you guys. I want you to stay tuned. I'm still going to be talking about this, but I want to get into some more principles. I want to understand what makes a man a man. Is it his strength? Is it his toughness? Is it his confidence? Or is it what he stands for? Is it his values? Is it his principles? Is it his beliefs? See, a man who's firm in who he is will not fold, will not compromise who he is. And if you can be that man, you've already won the game. But you need to figure out that in you. What will you stand? What will you live? What will you live and die for? Find it, live it, be about it, and do it. Alright guys, so in order to really get to know thyself, you also want to figure out what do you stand for. What are your values, your principles, your belief systems, etc. Now this is really important because one day your beliefs will be tested. One day what you stand on will be tested. One day you may even be persecuted for what it is you truly feel is true. So you want to figure out deeply, what is it that you value? What morals do you value? What principles do you value? What things do you value in others? What do you value in relationships? What do you value in business? These principles and values that you personally take a stand by are what will define your value at the end of the day. And one of the things and the concepts that I'm learning is value. How to determine your value. How to determine your worth. And in doing that, you want to really have integrity. That's one of the lessons I will be getting into later on, is integrity. But the basis of it is awareness. Awareness of your morals. Awareness of your values. What you stand for. Who you stand with, etc. One thing I know deep down is when you're a man of morals and man of values, when your integrity is actually going to speak louder than your words. So that means what you do will speak louder than what you speak. Your actions speak louder than words. So when you become a man of action and of doing and of being, that will always speak louder than your sayings. What you do speaks louder than what you say all the time. And whenever you want to get to a point, your character, your values, those will eventually speak for you. To the point where you won't have to open up your mouth on a topic or an issue. But people will already know where you stand because of who you are. People won't confront you over little tiny things, but they'll confront you over things that matter. Things that keep your mind intrigued. Because they know what you stand for. See, one thing that I'm currently getting to know is that your conversation's going to change. You're not going to be able to talk to people who have nothing going on because you have a lot going on. But you'll only be around people who have more to offer you and to offer the situation that you're dealing with, because what speaks for you will be what you stand on, your values, how you handle your situations, how you've reacted and dealt with situations in the past that others have seen you deal with. This integrity is going to speak louder than anything else. And what I deeply want you guys to understand is value. The basis of value. Determining your value. And then standing by it by establishing principles that value you and that you value. So these principles could be anything from just treating people equally to standing by a certain creed or a code, morals, maybe a spiritual book like the Bible. Whatever these things are, this builds your integrity and it also builds your value. So I want you guys to think about this. If you have a piece of paper, if you have a pen on your hand, write down on this piece of paper, what do I stand by? What are my values? What are my morals? What are my principles? What do I believe sincerely? What are the codes I believe? What are the sayings that I stand by? Like a quote. Maybe you live by a quote. Maybe you live by a scripture. Maybe you live by a teaching. What is that? Write it on that piece of paper and then circle it. I want you to look at it daily. I want you to see it. I want you to inundate your life into it. Because that value, that scripture, that quote, whatever that is for you, that you stand by, that you value, becomes a part of you. Becomes a part of the essence that you show. The essence in which you live. But this is important. Like I said, everything will be tested, including those values, including those principles. And if under stress or under hardship you compromise, you'll know if you really stand on it or if you don't. And people will test. They will test those principles. They'll test those values in you. They'll see if you compromise under pressure. They'll see if you compromise under stress. You call yourself a Christian, but under a stressful situation, are you going to curse and fight and do all the things that you don't agree with? People will look at that and they'll think, wow, he's really a hypocrite. Or you'll do what you stand by and they'll say, wow, that man's really who he says he is. These values that will test you. People will test your values. They'll test your principles. They'll ask you questions just to see if you're for real. Just to test it out. Just to see if this is legit. Does he say the same thing in this situation? Does he say the same thing in that situation? And people do this subconsciously. People always want to find the strongest person to be around. The one who's most firm in their beliefs and their sayings and their teaching. And they'll ask you if you agree with this or if you agree with that. And if you said it, you didn't agree with it there, why would they agree with you saying it now or there or here? If you're so easy to fold under pressure, then you'll fold under pressure without pressure. People under pressure is what strengthens these values, these principles. When you're under hardship, under stress and strain, this is what will carve the structure of what you believe. This is what will shape your character. Because you still stand by something. It's very easy to compromise. It's very easy to see money and to compromise your beliefs for it. People will test you. They'll test you with greed. They'll test you with lust. Test you with toys. And they'll see if you compromise. The answer should be no. You won't. People that you love, people that love you will test you. They'll ask you questions secretly. They'll see how you act here or how you act there. Are you going to be different around me or are you the same wherever you are? Like I said, people don't do this on purpose. We do it subconsciously, but we're always trying to see if this person is for real. A lot of people pretend. A lot of people fake. People want to be around the real deal. You are the real deal when you find something that will not compromise, that you will stand by all time, in all way. Let it be your belief, let it be your morals, let it be your values. Stand by these things all the time, in every possible way. This will determine your character. This will build your value in circumstances. People say, I make all this money, but I have no say in it. People say, I make all this money, I'm so great at the company, but I have no value. I have no respect. I work at a job where I get paid well, but they don't treat me well. I go to a job where I'm the CEO, but I have no say in how the company runs. And it's because you don't have value. Value is not determined by how much you make. It's determined by how much you give. And the only way you can figure out how much you can give is by knowing how much you are already worth. By knowing what it is you stand by, you believe, and you will go by at all times. Value, determine it, find it, discover it, and live by it. Live by a creed, a quote, scripture, whatever your principles might be it, emulate in it, and represent it. I'm blessed you guys are staying tuned for Self-Awareness Lesson 2. I can't wait to give you guys some more amazing topics. I'm going to get into the next lesson for self-awareness, and then I can't wait to get into integrity. Now, self-awareness and integrity are very close, but in order to have integrity, you first need self-awareness. So I'm blessed again. I'm blessed that you're staying tuned. I'm blessed that you're watching. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, go ahead and go to McKinleyBird.com. At McKinleyBird.com, you see the little chat bubble at the bottom. I'll send a rep right out to you, or guess what? I'll get in touch with you. Either way, you guys are members. You're paying for this. This is a paid course. I hope you enjoy it. You're getting every dime's worth. And I just want to say thank you again for staying tuned.